Migration has been a defining feature of human history, shaping societies, economies, and cultures across the world. As people move from one place to another, they bring their customs, traditions, and ways of life with them, creating new cultural landscapes. One of the most profound consequences of migration is cultural hybridity, a process in which different cultural elements merge to form new identities and expressions. Cultural hybridity challenges traditional notions of cultural purity, demonstrating that cultures are dynamic and constantly evolving. This essay explores the relationship between migration and cultural hybridity, analyzing historical and contemporary examples to illustrate how these processes influence societies. The dynamics of migration. Migration can be voluntary or forced, internal or international, and temporary or permanent. Throughout history, people have migrated for various reasons, including economic opportunities, political instability, environmental changes, and persecution. The transatlantic slave trade, the Great Migration of African Americans within the United States, and the modern refugee crises in the Middle East and Africa are just a few examples of large-scale migrations that have shaped societies. Economic migration, one of the most common forms, occurs when individuals or groups move in search of better job opportunities and living conditions. Countries like the United States, Canada, and Germany have attracted millions of migrants due to their economic prosperity. On the other hand, forced migrations, such as those caused by war or climate change, often lead to the displacement of large populations, requiring host nations to integrate refugees into their societies. Regardless of the reasons, migration inevitably leads to cultural exchanges, fostering hybridity. The concept of cultural hybridity. Cultural hybridity refers to the blending of different cultural traditions, values, and practices to create new hybrid forms. It is a key aspect of globalization, as migration, trade, and communication enable diverse cultural interactions. Hybridity challenges the idea of fixed cultural identities and highlights the fluid nature of culture. The term was popularized by post-colonial theorist Homi Bhabha, who argued that cultural hybridity emerges in third spaces, where cultures interact, negotiate, and transform. This process is not simply about assimilation, but about the creation of something new. Hybrid cultures can be seen in language, food, music, fashion, and religious practices. For example, Spanglish, a mix of Spanish and English, has emerged among Latino communities in the United States, illustrating how linguistic hybridity develops in multicultural environments. Historical examples of migration and cultural hybridity. The Silk Road. One of the earliest and most significant examples of cultural hybridity resulting from migration is the Silk Road. This vast trade network connected China, India, Persia, the Middle East, and Europe, facilitating not only the exchange of goods but also of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices. The spread of Buddhism from India to China, the influence of Persian art on Islamic architecture, and the adoption of paper-making techniques in Europe all demonstrate the hybrid cultural formations that emerged due to migration along the Silk Road. The Moors in Spain. The Islamic conquest of Spain in the 8th century brought about a fusion of Arabic, Berber, and European cultures. Al-Andalus, as Muslim Spain was known, became a center of intellectual and artistic exchange, blending Islamic, Christian, and Jewish traditions. The architectural marvels of cities like Córdoba and Granada reflect this hybridity, with structures such as the Alhambra showcasing Islamic artistic influences combined with local European styles. Similarly, the Spanish language absorbed numerous Arabic words, a linguistic testament to the cultural intermingling of the time. The African diaspora and creolization. The transatlantic slave trade forcibly relocated millions of Africans to the Americas, where they encountered European and indigenous cultures. This led to the emergence of Creole cultures, particularly in the Caribbean and Latin America. Creolization, a form of cultural hybridity, resulted in new languages like Haitian Creole, as well as unique musical traditions such as jazz, reggae, and samba. These hybrid cultures arose from the blending of African, European, and indigenous influences, shaping the identities of nations across the Americas. Contemporary examples of migration and cultural hybridity. Globalization and hybrid identities. In the modern era, migration continues to foster cultural hybridity on an unprecedented scale. The rise of digital communication and global travel has accelerated cultural exchanges, leading to the development of hybrid identities. Many second-generation immigrants navigate between their ancestral culture and the culture of their host country, resulting in new expressions of identity. For example, British Asians have created a distinct cultural identity that blends South Asian traditions with British influences, evident in their music, fashion, and food. Cuisine as a reflection of hybridity. Food is one of the most visible aspects of cultural hybridity. Migrants bring their culinary traditions to new regions, where they often adapt to local ingredients and tastes. This fusion results in the creation of new dishes, such as Tex-Mex cuisine in the United States, which blends Mexican and American flavors, or the popularity of sushi burritos, which combine Japanese and Mexican elements. Similarly, the popularity of Indian curries in the United Kingdom exemplifies how migration reshapes food culture. Music and fashion. The global music industry is a testament to cultural hybridity, with genres such as hip hop, reggaeton, and K-pop incorporating diverse musical influences. Reggaeton, for instance, originated in Puerto Rico, blending Caribbean rhythms, Latin American influences, and American hip hop. Similarly, fashion designers frequently draw inspiration from multiple cultural traditions, creating hybrid styles that reflect the interconnectedness of global cultures. The challenges and controversies of cultural hybridity. Despite its positive aspects, cultural hybridity is not without challenges. Some critics argue that cultural hybridity can lead to cultural appropriation, where dominant groups adopt elements of marginalized cultures without understanding their significance. This has been a contentious issue in fashion, music, and entertainment. For instance, when non-Indigenous designers use Native American symbols in clothing, it can be seen as a form of exploitation rather than cultural exchange. Additionally, the blending of cultures can sometimes result in the loss of traditional cultural practices. Younger generations of migrants may feel disconnected from their ancestral culture as they assimilate into a new society. This tension between preserving cultural heritage and embracing hybridity is a complex issue for many migrant communities. The role of governments and institutions. Governments and institutions play a crucial role in shaping migration policies and cultural integration. Countries with multicultural policies, such as Canada and Australia, promote cultural diversity by encouraging immigrants to maintain their heritage while participating in the broader society. In contrast, assimilationist policies may pressure migrants to abandon their cultural identities in favor of the dominant culture. The way societies approach migration and cultural hybridity significantly impacts social cohesion and intercultural relations. Migration and cultural hybridity are deeply intertwined, shaping human societies in profound ways. As people move across borders, they bring their cultures with them, creating new hybrid forms that challenge traditional notions of identity. From the historical exchanges of the Silk Road to the contemporary fusion of global cuisines and music, cultural hybridity demonstrates the fluid and evolving nature of culture. While it presents both opportunities and challenges, cultural hybridity ultimately enriches societies, fostering creativity, innovation, and mutual understanding. In an increasingly interconnected world, embracing cultural hybridity can lead to a more inclusive and dynamic global community.